So I will go ahead and share my screen. So let me know when you start seeing my screen.
I can see your screen.
Excellent. So this is the portal. Like this is what the login page essentially looks like. To get to this, you go to portal.gasboss.co, as you can see up here. The first time when you receive the email will actually have a link in it, which you'll click to verify your access, like to verify your email. And it'll in the email that we send you, there'll be like a temporary password. You'll enter that. Once you do that, you'll actually get a pop-up that says, change your password, and you'll enter the temporary password again, and then you'll create a new password and confirm it. Once you've done that, just know that it's not going to automatically take you to your login page. You'll actually have to go back into the web page and enter this portal.gasboss.co address, and it'll bring you up to this, and then you'll go ahead and enter your email. So your email is going to be your login. All right. So your login information, like your username, is your email. And then you'll put in whatever password that you set for your site. And that will then take you to, let me give you one sec, this page. This is your dashboard. Now, I do want you to know that this platform is currently being built out. So there's a few functionalities in here that haven't been fully rolled out as yet. That's happening as we speak. Our developers are actively working on a lot of the functionalities within this. So if you see a few things missing, that's because they're actually working on it on the back end and going to be adding it. But this is going to be your dashboard. This is where you'll get some snapshots of your data. It'll show you the orders that you had for that, like a rolling graph. It won't be flat line, hopefully, like this. It'll actually, show you data points. It'll also have some details up top. It'll say things like your sales and your, number of sales, the quantity, the dollar amounts, things like that. So relevant information that you'd want to look at a glance to see the sort of the health of your business. As I mentioned, that is in process, but that's where the dashboard is. Under the dashboard, you have a user guide. And if you click on that, it actually just helps you sort of navigate through the, the different spaces, and it'll kind of give you a little bit of information about the portal so you can reorient yourself if you ever need to. But the main things that are going to be important, for you especially, are going to be the reports. Now, we have several different reports built into the system. You can, once you're logged in, you can kind of look through them and see. It just represents your data in different formats. You can look at your sales summary, for example. You select your dates. You can select, let's say, the 28th to the 29th. Let's say you wanted to look at those dates. You'll hit preview. And it should give you sort of your information on your sales data. It takes a little bit just to pull that information, but you'll also see things like category sales. You can look at your actual credit card sales. So this would have data like based like this. It'll actually show you data in the system. This is not your site, by the way, so your data will look different, obviously. But you're going to be able to, pull different summary data. As you can set your parameters, like your date parameters. It'll show you, like, for example, like I said, category sales. Credit cards will show you actual credit card transactions. So it'll be like a very long list, depending on how far out you're going with your data. But it'll show you all the different credit card transactions. It'll have the transaction number, the mode, the card type, the amounts, whether it was approved or if it was denied. So you'll be able to see that daily, as we talked about earlier. So your daily is going to be your a 24-hour period. That's what a daily report generally will be. You set your parameters again, and you'll be able to see it. One thing I should mention, as of right now, these reports are trailing, so they're being pulled from a backup. So they're not going to be like live. You're not going to be seeing live reports like right now, what's happening, but these will be like historical reports. And it should be, they upload overnight, so they should be like as recent as yesterday, as long as you did the close or what have you. Depending on what time you're looking, you'll be able to see data in here. That'll be your daily. This day close report actually just tells you what time the day closes happen. It's not the actual day close report, but it tells you, what time your day open was, what time your day close was. You'll be able to look at dispenser summary, fuel refunds. You'll be able to see fuel sales. That'll actually give you, so let's do a 1-day data instead of multi-day, but you'll be able to see your actual fuel sales broken down by the fuel types and such. This is going to be all your different fuel sales, the dollar amounts, at what price it was sold at, things like that. So there's some great reports in here that you can look through and see what reports are the most important to you for, your purposes. Of course, not every report will be useful. If there's any specific reports that, you need for your site and you're like, Sarah, we really need this report. I don't see it here and I don't know how to get this information. If you let us know, there is ways that we can talk to our developers and see if that's something that they can add. Of course, it takes a little bit of time in development, but that is something that we're open to. And if you suggest a certain report that you think would be helpful, be sure to let us know. You can then also go into your actual day close report. And the day close report will be broken down by the different elements of that report. So if you wanted to look at just the credit card sales, you pick the date that you want to look at. So let's say here we have the date from the 28th to the 29th. You go ahead and hit preview. And all your day close IDs will exist here. And you'll be able to click through them and go and look at that specific day's reports. So just one moment. Here we go. So this will show you like a breakdown of what kind of card type it was and what was the amount that was processed on your site. So it'll show you that you'll be able to, like I said, look at daily category, daily sales, fuel sales. And this is again going to be for a specific day that you select, and you'll be able to see the day close report for that day. That'll show you data. So for your daily fuel sales, and sorry, my dog's barking in the back. I apologize. So that'll show here. It takes a minute to upload sometimes. But these are all like reports that exist within the system. All right. So these are reports that exist within the system. I don't know why we had an error that happened, but essentially you'll be able to see the breakdown of your fuel sales for that day as well. So this is basically your day close report that you see as one report. This is broken down into categories. And then there's two segments of this platform that actually allow for live data management. And that's going to be in your fuel and in your item. Now, that might not be relevant to you in bookkeeping, but I'll just go ahead and show it to you. This is where you are able to actually update your fuel prices remotely. This will show you what your current fuel prices are set to. And let's say you wanted to change your fuel price, you'll be able to go into edit, put in your new cash price. If you were doing cash and credit pricing, that will show as 2 columns and you would be able to update both of those. And when you hit save, that particular line item that you change will go yellow, which means that the change is in process. And when you do that, it'll actually send a note, like a pop-up. There'll be a pop-up message on your cash register, like the POS on site, that will say, fuel price change, and the person on site, so the cashier, will need to accept it. That is because we created a 2-step verification, essentially, so you don't by mistake change a fuel price and didn't really make it, mean for it to happen, and it go through, because, obviously, because this is live data, we wanted to be a little bit more careful. So your person on site, the cashier, would need to accept that pop-up, and as they accept it, it will change that your fuel price in the POS, like in the point of sale system, so in the register. It'll also change it on the pumps. So it will basically, in real time, update your fuel pricing. You can also do that with items, with item management. You can go into items and it'll show you a list of all the items that you have available. You can go, as you can see, this, this particular one has 7,000 items. So you can sort of toggle through them, look for certain items, and you'll be able to see them under which category they exist, what the description of the item is, what the current price is set in the point of sale system. You can also have a segment to put in your cost. So you can actually put in, any kind of costing information you want to add in there. you have your UPC number, and then a quantity. So you can actually keep inventory level or item level inventory on this system, keeping in mind that this will deplete as the items are sold. And then as you replenish, you'll need to come in and enter, how much you replenished. In order to do that, it's again very simple. You hit edit and you just go in line by line and just fill in the information. You don't have to keep item level. So you see this all says 0. It doesn't mean they don't have that product. It just means that this site or this demo is not keeping track of inventory level. One of the things I want to mention, there is some work happening behind the scenes to upgrade a lot of this information, meaning to say give you more facilities, be able to set up promos through this platform, be able to keep vendor information in this platform. Currently, you can't save vendor information, but they're building that out as well to be able to attach items to vendor information so you know who you're buying it from at what cost. So there's a lot more functionality coming to this real basic program that we're providing. But essentially, it's going to be able to give you control on your system, on your point of sale system remotely. Tax management, you can actually go in there and set your item taxes. You can set, whatever, if you have multiple different tax grades, you can put those in here as well. And in item management, in categories, you can actually assign those taxes too. So you can go ahead and assign, like, okay, if it's a certain category, for example, these categories have the tax assigned because they're taxable items. So you can actually decide what categories are taxable, which are not, and adjust that through this platform. Last couple of things, you can look at transactions. In bookkeeping, this might be important to you if you have a certain transaction that might be contested or you need to just look into something. You can actually come into transactions. It'll give you all your transactions up to the day before. This site will be updated. This is just a demo site, but this will be updated and it will typically reflect data up to yesterday's data. And if you wanted to look at a certain transaction, it'll show you the order number, the date and time that it was rang up, the subtotal, and then it'll also show you how it was paid for, whether it was a credit, cash, check. And then you can actually pull up that specific item's data by clicking on details, and it'll show you what that order was for, like what was purchased on that order.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I just was saying okay.
Okay. And then lastly, in merchant services, this is the another area which is actually being built out right now because we had this move from one payment facilitator to another one. We're actually going to give our customers access to all their data. And we're going to put it here in merchant services. So that's going to be your merchant services with us. It'll actually show you things like the volume by card type. It'll show you monthly average card transactions, and then the funding events, like how much was deposited into your account on what day. So it'll basically be like your batch receipts. It'll actually show you all that data that'll exist here. So you'll actually be able to come in here. This will be changing from like static data to an HTML where you'll be able to click through the different points, like information points. So if you needed to look into a specific batch, you'll be able to do that. You'll be able to look at your statements. When you go to the statement line, you'll be actually be able to pull it up and it'll give you a list of all your statements, monthly statements that you can open and look through. You'll also have access to this, which is your batch reports. So under reports, you'll actually have batch reports, you'll have batch IDs. So what we were talking about, when you said I have a deposit of $11,000, you'll actually know like, okay, that's batch number this. And if you needed to review it, you'll be able to click on the batch ID and then click through and it'll show you all the transactions. Last 4 digits of the card type, the transaction date and time, and then the amount, the transaction amount. So you'll be able to see what transactions were on which batch, if you will. So great, report. You'll have deposit history that'll give you information of how much was, deposited, time to, for your services. So lots of different reports, estimated fees, transaction by browser. So they'll be adding more stuff to that particular segment. So the merchant services segment is going to grow and become even more robust. So for bookkeeping, that'll be the one I think that's going to be, I mean, apart from reports, that's going to be a really important segment for you to be able to, look into. So when you see these discrepancies like you're seeing right now, you'll be able to research into that and see what's happening. And if you see discrepancies that, in that detail, you can actually reach out to us and say, hey, I saw this, and it's not matching up. So then we can all look at it together and see. But it will basically be a true representation, excuse me, of your merchant services. So basically what you were getting as a static report before will exist as more of a live platform. But that is essentially the portal. Sorry, I'm